Hello, everybody. Chris Williams here with CycloneFanatic.com. It is Women's Basketball Media Day, believe it or not. Billy, it's weird. I got Billy Fennelly here, assistant coach for the Iowa State women's basketball program. The football program has only played 3 games, and yet it is Media Day. Is this kind of snuck up on you? Does it feel like it's hoop season?
No, it doesn't, Chris. I think you're exactly right with the football schedule being a little bit odd. But even so, even if they'd played 5 games, it doesn't feel like it's ready to be basketball season. But that's the way the calendar falls, and we're into October. And even though we got a big football game tomorrow night, we're still here talking basketball today, and it'll be football tomorrow.
I love it, man, though. I love it when hoop season starts to cross over with football. It's the best time of year. And I'm looking forward to watching your guys' team this year because, I don't know, I kind of feel like when I look at your roster, a couple big losses in Prinz and Poppins, obviously. Are we going to see like a return of like old school Bill Fennelly, Iowa State women's basketball, more running, more chucking the 3 ball? Is that, or am I just reading into things?
No, I think you're right, Chris. I think that's the way we're going to have to play. We're going to have to score that way. We really like our guards. We didn't lose any guards, and we added 2 freshmen that I think will play considerable minutes. And so, you lose post players, too, that went to the WNBA. You're going to have to change the way you play. And with 2 great post players, you have to play a certain kind of way. You got to slow it down a little bit. You got to be a little bit more methodical in the half court. Whereas you see the contrast, the men, what Fred's been doing over there, he's got some really good guards who can open the floor out. He's running and gunning a little bit. So I don't know that we're going to put 95 on anybody, but we're going to try to play a little bit faster and use our guards to our advantage, post some of them up, things like that. But obviously everything will still center around Hallie Christopherson, who moves from a guard to a post player and still trying to figure out ways to get her open.
You talk about Hallie Christopherson. We did a podcast earlier in the summer, and in case some people didn't get to listen to that, I thought you made an interesting comparison where I think you called Hallie like a poor man's Doug McDermott. You kind of compared her to George Niang and what the Iowa State men did with him last year. Can you elaborate a little bit on that and how she might be used differently?
Yeah, I think, we always talk about her being a poor man's Doug McDermott, obviously. Anybody in that reference is a great player. Today was named preseason first team all-conference. So she is a great player, has that reputation coming back as a senior, but just her efficiency. It's when the ball's in her hands, something good happens. And she doesn't need to bring the ball up and come off a bunch of screens. It's running her off screens, posting her up in a mismatch, whatever it is. When we get the ball in her hands, in that 1 to 2 seconds, she's going to be successful. So it's just the efficiency that Doug McDermott plays with, that George Niang plays with, that isn't the focal point of the most of the possession, but when they get the ball, something good's going to happen.
I'm curious about your point guard position this year. Obviously, Nikki Moody, now a very experienced point guard, but with Jada Buckley coming in, obviously a freshman, what's the plan there? Can they both play it? Will they both play it? Will you just have to feel it out? Where are you guys at the start of practice?
Yeah, Chris, I think obviously anytime you got Nikki Moody coming back as a third-year starter, only in her junior year, has great experience in this league against the best guards in the country. So it's going to be her ball, but it's one of those things where it's nice to have somebody else where if she's getting hounded, if she's getting pressured or has been, it's easy to dump the ball off to Jada, and Jada can bring the ball up, and Nikki can run the 2. We don't have like you're the point guard, you're the 2-man, whatever. It's fill a spot, whoever gets the ball, let's go with it. Similar to what the men did with Royce a couple years ago. When he got the ball, he brought it up. We don't need to stand there and hold it and wait for somebody to come take it off the hip. We're going with it, whether it's Jada or Nikki, and they know their roles and they know how to fill that extra spot. So each of them can score the ball, each of them brings something different, but I think it's going to be a nice compliment to each other that we can use them both in different situations.
Is it refreshing going into a Big 12 season without Brittany Griner in the league?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where everyone's like, man, they got a shot to win it. Well, they're going to be good. Really, it's anybody's ball game. I think the worst teams in our league are by far better than any other league's worst teams. We may not have a team that's preseason in the top 5, but we got 10 teams that are legit, that can legitimately beat anybody on a given day, and that's not just coach talk and things like that. It's real, and so it's nice to have that. Last year going into this, you were playing for second place. You could lie to yourself and tell you weren't, but you were. And that's what we did, and that's where we finished, and that was our goal going into the season. Our goal going into the season is to win it this year. There's no second place. This is anybody's ball game, and if we stay healthy and put the pieces together, and everybody accepts what they can do, I think we'll be right there.
Looking at your non-conference schedule, Cal State Fullerton comes to town. Your little brother, kid brother, Steven, is now an assistant coach for Cal State Fullerton. Your dad got a little bit choked up when I asked him about it, but Are you gonna like beat up on him? Are you gonna give him like a little head rub before the game? How's that gonna go?
I'm sure I'll give him a little bro pound or something, but I mean, he's coming to Hilton, and it's our job to make sure he leaves just like every other opponent leaves Hilton, and that's with a nice little butt whooping. But honestly, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have tons of family there and things like that. So it's nice when you get to. He's in L.A. He's been home once since he took the job 6 months ago. He's working for a head coach who I worked with at Maryland. So great family respect there, and he's loving it. He's doing a great job, and it's a new not a new program, but a new coach, and everything's changing. But it's going to be a lot of fun to have him there and to give him a hard time, and hopefully our kids can do the dirty work for us, so I don't have to talk too much trash to him.
I like Steven, but I'll be cheering for the Cardinal and Gold in that one. But Billy, thank you very much. We appreciate your time, and Billy, of course, will be on with us Thursday nights, our Cyclone Fanatic radio show throughout the season. Matt Abdelmassi comes on for the men's program, so we get to take on both programs and preview the upcoming season. So he's Billy Fennelly. I'm Chris Williams. So long from Women's Basketball Media Day.